Um, Grant said, Bane voice, you merely adopted the grunge. I was born in it, molded by it. Yeah, that's me for sure. Um, but like even bands like Soundgarden or like Alice in Chains is a really good example. Alice in Chains, that's a better example. Alice in Chains, when Lane Staley was still alive, if you go back and you listen to Alice in Chains records, those records could never be done now because of the auto tune pitch correction world that we live in. Because a lot of those harmonies, they're not actually like perfectly in key. Like he's not singing in key. Those Alice in Chains harmonies that, you know, particularly like the ones where Lane was doing his own harmony with himself, like on the record, they're very weird and they're not technically like in tune or in key or pitch perfect or anything. That's why they sound cool. And if you throw an auto tune on it, it's gonna try and correct that, and it's not. So it wouldn't even be the same melody. It would fix it. You know what I mean? And then it sounds like shit. And like I was talking about earlier, like with this black metal record that I did, like I detuned my guitars. So it's like, you know, my voice, I'm singing along with what I've played, but what I've played is detuned. Therefore, my voice is pitched with that, which is detuned, which is technically out of tune. So if you were to throw autocorrect on it, it would fuck with my voice because it's not technically, you know, pitch perfect because I'm singing to something that's already detuned. But those things add character and flavor and like all these things to music that people don't really. It's the like I've talked about with video games, like the intangibles, right? Like there's these intangible things that make things great, whether it's a video game, a movie, music, whatever. And it's like doing things like that. Those are the intangibles. And when you make everything perfect, you don't have those intangibles. It's why movies, a lot of modern movies suck. Like everything is so like sleek and perfect and like, I don't know. It's not a reflection of reality. For one, reality is not perfect at all. So it's like I don't want my art to be like super perfect either because, you know, whatever. And I'm not saying that there's not like a place for stuff like that because I mean, there's pop music, right? Pop music is very polished and sheen and perfect. But back then, you know, at least up until a certain point, it was perfect, but it was done naturally. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they were like, you know, faking it. It was actually, you know, them doing it. I know that like somebody like Michael Jackson, like he was notorious for like going in there and doing like, he would do like a bunch of fucking takes and he would comp a take, right? So it's like whatever's on the final record is just a comp of like the best, like he would go section by section and it would be like the best takes of, you know, the first verse and the chorus and so on and so forth. But it was actually him doing it, you know, and then you'd hear him live and he could do it live like perfect. Whereas like nowadays you hear these people live and they can't, they can't do what they did in the studio. Although they're able to get away with it now because they're starting to use auto-tune and pitch correction live. They've gotten the technology to a point to where they can use it live and it's hard to tell. Sorry, I missed a bunch of chat because I'm like over here bitching about music.